Welcome. My name is Katherine Dibb, and I'm a zoology and environmental stewardship teacher at Croft Middle Design Center Prep in Metro Nashville Public Schools.
And my name is Greta Knudson, and I'm the STEAM instructional coach here at Croft. We'd like to welcome you to our session and thank you for joining us here today, our session of a recipe for PBL success. We have a few outcomes that we hope that you will be able to take away from this session. One of them is to be able to understand how to incorporate project-based learning through the lens of a defined learning platform. And the next is to understand how making shifts in your school schedule can allow teachers the time to plan more effectively while building community within the school. So our brief agenda here, we already went through introductions and outcomes. We're going to go into project-based learning and defined learning at Croft and what that looks like. We're going to show you some student examples from one of our PBLs from defined learning, and we're going to talk about shifting school schedules, and we're going to close this out.
So who we are here at Croft. We are an urban public choice school in Metro Nashville Public Schools. Our current enrollment is at about 740 students, give or take. 50% of our students are Hispanic, 27% of our students are white, including our Arabic and Kurdish populations. 19% of our students are African American, and 3% of our students are Asian Pacific Islander. 20% of our students are active in the English Language Learner Program, and 12% of our students are served with individual educational plans, otherwise known as IEPs. 40% of our students are economically disadvantaged, and one of the really cool things about Croft is we are located at we're located on Nashville Zoo property, and I have a really close relationship with the Nashville Zoo. One of those examples is my class. We have a zoology and environmental stewardship class here. We also have 4 state-of-the-art animal exhibits located in our school, where we have different animals that are rotated in and out every year. We also practice using project-based learning in all subject areas, whether that means isolated to one class or collaborating cross-curricular with other subjects on just one PBL.
So define learning in Croft. How did we come about this? Well, with the switch to virtual learning this past year, we really wanted to figure out a way to do project-based learning in the virtual world. And so we called up our friends at TSIN, and they were talking about this platform called Define Learning. And so what we really wanted to do is check this out and figure out how we could use this, because we looked at it once and we started to fall in love with it because of the ease of it and all of the projects that were already built into it. And so we wanted to pilot this through our zoology and environmental stewardship class. So we went through there for a full implementation. With everybody kind of becoming a first-year teacher again with the pandemic, and learning all the new virtual platforms, we really wanted to not also put another new platform on everyone. So we wanted to kind of just, baby step this in and figure out how we could utilize this. So we also had exposure to define learning with our enrichment teachers. So we started including these projects into the enrichment classes. So the enrichment teachers started to be able to use the program, and they started falling in love with the program, and they were starting to adopt it into their classroom. And then word of mouth kind of traveled, and we started having mini professional developments, people asking for separate sessions, and individual teacher adoption. And then next year, we really hope to have further implementation, and we're so excited for what that looks like and how we can use that. So what is Define Learning? We're going to go into that here. Define Learning provides teachers with all of the essential project design elements they need to implement and assess high quality project-based learning, including interdisciplinary performance tasks, literacy tasks, math tasks, engaging in real-world videos, research resources, and assessment manager. And the real-world videos are linked to the practical application of STEM educational concepts. Also, the really cool thing is that tasks are built around careers and real-world scenarios. So Mrs. Dibb here is going to go into some examples and kind of also show you the Define Learning platform. We really encourage you also to check out the other Define Learning session that's more specifically about Define Learning. It's taking place at the summit. So please check that out. Learn about Define Learning. We are very pro Define Learning and how much is done for our students. So we're really excited to have Mrs. Dibb share. Mrs. Dibb.
Awesome. Awesome. So again, Define Learning is amazing. I could go on and on about it all day. So Define Learning, here we are on the Define Learning platform website. And again, every middle school teacher in the state of Tennessee has access to Define Learning. We really hope you utilize it. I have been using it all year in my class. And again, we were virtual, and now I am simultaneously teaching virtual students and in-person students at the same time, simultaneously. And so I will just say that Define Learning has made that transition so easy for my students, and a great way to still have PBL and be in that virtual setting or that in-person setting or both. So now we're here on this website, and the first thing you can see is the choosing of subjects and grade band. And today I'm just going to choose science. And I'm going to choose 3 through 5, 6 through 8. Why I'm doing that is because I teach both 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, and I want to make sure to include that 5th grade. Again, middle school and Metro National Public Schools is 5th through 8th. And then I'm also going to click Life Science. I'm going to go to Find Projects. That life science kind of fits with that environmental stewardship and zoology. As you can see, there's 95 projects found. And you can narrow that down even more through project type. We have performance task projects, and I love these. This is what I pretty much use these all the time in my class. I love performance task projects. Those are those projects that might take a couple of days, maybe even a week or two. You also have your literacy task projects, your constructed response project, your C3 model project, and your math task projects. Today I'm going to go ahead and click on performance task projects. And then I'm going to narrow it down even more into those interdependent relationships and ecosystems. And then I'm going to filter. And as you can see, we're down to 34 projects found. And here are all the different performance task projects that fit with these categories. And I'm actually going to click on this farm to table restaurant entrepreneur. I have done this one in my class. We are currently just introducing this in my Q4 class, and my students have really started to love this. So as you can see here, it then tells you the title of it again, farm to table restaurant entrepreneur. Again, those careers, performance task, and there's 24 student check-ins and 5 different products the students can create. What I love about Define Learning is you immediately get an introduction into your project. And here you also have your driving question. You have your 5 different steps. The first one is set the stage. And so again, you're setting the stage for your project. You have your introduction and your career videos and guiding questions. Here you see that you have the head chef and operating a restaurant. And then you also have your student check-in guided questions. And you could do this, students could do this individually, or you could do it together as a class. You also then have your second step, and that's explore the background. And we spend a lot of time on this in my class. You have your big idea, your essential questions, and G.R.A.S.P. G.R.A.S.P. has been one of my favorite things that I've taken away from Define Learning, and you can use it for any of your projects. You have your goal, your role, your audience, your situation, and your product. So that's what G.R.A.S.P. stands for. So for this particular project that we're looking at today, you have you're an entrepreneur. Your goal is your entrepreneurial group has decided to open a farm to table restaurant in your region. Your task is to help determine all aspects of the restaurant opening, and I'll go into more detail with that. Then you have your role. So the role the students are going to be playing. The audience. So who are you creating these products for? and then your situation, which really reiterates that introduction that you saw today. And then we're still missing the P in GRASP, and those are your products, the products that students are going to create. What's great about this is that you can really edit this or make this project however you'd like. So you can have students create every single product on here. I did in my class. Or you could say, you know, I'm going to start small. I just want the students to create the design and the proposed menu. Or you can have students choose, like for some of the products you could have, or for some of the projects that you'll see on here, you could have students choose 2 out of the 5, or choose 1. It's really up to you and how you want to have this fit in your classroom. So as you can see here, we're going to go into more of the products. The first product you have for this project is the design, and this is where students are going to create their name, logo, and slogan for the restaurant. And what I love about the products is for every product, you also have a video that goes along with this product to just give more insight into what this product is and how students can create it and what they need to include in this product. You also then have your restaurant unveiling, and what I'll go ahead and point out here, for every single one of the products, you have a rubric and scoring. And if I know anything, I love rubrics, and I know Ms. Knudson does too. And if you're really big into PBLs, I'm sure you love rubrics as well. And they're already done for you. Students can submit projects onto Define Learning. Now, with the virtual setting and all of that going on this year, I had my students, we were using the platform Schoology, and I had my students submit their projects through Schoology. But what's awesome about Define Learning is that you also have the print view, and so you can just click the print view, and then what I would have is I would just print that off and have it right next to me while I was grading the students' products. You also can see that you have standards. You can look at the standards that also fit with this. Very cross-curricular. The next one you have is your proposed menu, so students creating that menu for their restaurant, and you can see the different videos. The magazine article. Again, I just want to point out the rubric and scoring, different standards. Then you have the Facebook page. And what I'm going to show you here in just a second is how you can even edit these products. You can edit all of the different projects and performance tasks on Define Learning to fit your needs. So for instance, I edited this to make it, instead of having it as a Facebook page, I had it as an Instagram page because I'm a middle school teacher, and my middle schoolers love Instagram. And so I had students create Instagram pages. We talked about how Instagram, one of the most photographed things on Instagram is food, and what a great way to market your farm to table restaurant. And then you also have the do your research. That's the third step in Define Learning. And what's great about Define Learning is that it has a lot of the different research resources that your students might need. For example, this one has cause and effect, writing multi-step equations, impact of using local goods, and business planning. For this specific project, I really focused on that impact of using local goods and business planning to really help my students and help engage them more in what they need to know before creating their products. Again, more videos. You can see if you're from, you can see the head chef and operating a restaurant. The same two career videos that were in Set the Stage. But you also have two added ones. The Entrepreneur Within Food Truck kind of goes over the history of food trucks and how they came to be. And then Organic Farming, Grass-Fed Cattle, and students can kind of take a virtual field trip onto a grass-fed organic cattle farm. Then you have the different research resources. You can see here they have like the Lexile and the different grade bands, as well as other things such as articles. So I can click here and it immediately goes to the Science Daily and it goes into a article there that can help them further their research. The next step you have is design process and product creation. So students at this point should really be creating their products. And this just goes more into brainstorming, analyzing, and deciding that engineering and design process, right? Create and revise. With the video as well. And then the last and final one is your final reflection. And I love this about Define Learning. Really giving students a chance to kind of take in what they've done and really reflect on their work. And so as you can see here, really great questions. What part of your work are you most proud of? What did you learn? What are your greatest strengths throughout this project? How well did the group work together? All these different great questions that students can have to reflect on their work. It also has a section where you can, maybe students reflect and then revise as well. So say you love this project and you really want to focus on this farm to table entrepreneur performance task. You're like, I want this. Then you can go to customize. This is really how you save your projects. And say, I want to start really small. I just want to do the name, logo, and slogan, which is the design and the proposed menu for this restaurant. Well, that's great. You can edit this and then turn off the Facebook page, turn off the restaurant unveiling and the magazine article, and then hit create, and you're ready to go. But I'm going to keep these on for today and go to create. And look, it looks like it already saved. It says fantastic. Everything is ready to go. So if you're like, I loved everything about this, I don't want to edit anything, you're ready to go and you're able to find this project in the My Projects tab. Say you want to edit a couple of things. Maybe you love the career video and you want to add a guiding question to those career videos. You're able to do that. Then you can go to save and continue. See this G.R.A.S.P? And you're like, it says your entrepreneurial group has decided to open a farm to table restaurant in your region. Maybe you really want to focus on your region. So you might want to edit this to say in Nashville or in Knoxville or in East Tennessee or Middle Tennessee or West Tennessee, wherever you're at. And for example, my students, we did ours specific to Nashville, and students even researched different farm to table restaurants here in the Nashville area and kind of looked and got ideas from those restaurants that are already here and kind of doing the work. Say you're good to go, you've edited everything, you can slide on down, and then you can kind of look at the different products. You can add and take down different products. Again, you can turn it off right here. And say you're like me and you want to change this to an Instagram instead of a Facebook page. You could click here, go to Instagram, and then edit this however you'd like to fit your need. And then save changes and continue to next section. So say you love the rest of this and you're ready to go. Everything's great. You've edited everything you want. You're good to go. You can go to the My Projects tab. Go to My Projects. And you can see it's here ready to save. Now what's cool is that students can submit things through. You can assign students to Define Learning and you can have students submit things. You can have students submit their products through Define Learning and answer those guiding questions through Define Learning. But if you are like me, we had to use we used Schoology this year through the virtual in-person virtual and in-person learning. And so all of my students created their products and turned them into Schoology. And so students, how I got students into Define Learning is that I went to share and assign. And then, so you can assign directly to students, or you can share via link to students. And that's what I use. So I would go to my Schoology page and I would just copy and paste this link right into my Schoology page, and they were ready to go, and they could get on Define Learning and see everything that they needed to do for their performance task. Now, I would love to share with you some of the products my students created. Not the first one I'm going to show you today is not specific to the farm to table restaurant entrepreneur, but actually the project we did right before that, because I thought it was important that students really knew more about organic farming before going into the farm to table restaurant entrepreneur. And so I found an incredible performance task on Define Learning that dealt with organic farming, organic versus conventional farming, and students had to research organic farming and kind of really learn the difference between organic versus conventional or traditional farming, and then they had to create an organic garden or an organic farm. And so here you can see this is actually a student's work. So what I've done is I've just taken snapshots of her presentation. So this isn't even her full presentation, but just a snapshot into some of the big things that she did. And so here you see the key differences between organic and conventional farming. And now you see the My Minecraft farm. And what's great about Define Learning is that they really have that freedom. So all it was an organic garden design. And so they could create that design however they felt confident in creating it. So I had students create it through drawing and coloring a garden. I had students create it through a PowerPoint, and they kind of did like a model of a garden through PowerPoint, creating it through like making text box and filling them in and adding photos and things like that. And so they created their own garden through PowerPoint. And then I had some students who really wanted to create it through Minecraft, and they had that freedom to do so. And as you can see here, this student did that. And so you can see she talked about organic because no chemicals are used, animals get plenty of space, shelter, and are fed properly, plants have proper irrigation, and the student uses compost within her garden. You can see the different animals that she has within her garden, her farm. And then you see that she says the animals in my farm, all animals have plenty of outdoor space and shelter for bad weather. All livestock are safe from predators and live nice lives. I also love how not only did she list the livestock she has, but also how they are fed from the garden and what that livestock provides for the community. So, for instance, the cows are fed with wheat from the garden, and the cows provide milk. And you can see that she does the same for the pigs and chickens and the sheep. And now we're going to go into the start of the restaurant entrepreneur. So this is just the beginning stages, and this is really just a rough draft of a student's work that they've done so far. For the design part, that name, logo, and slogan for the restaurant, you can see they have Cafe Cove. Come and chill at the Cafe Cove, and they have a cow, or they have a cow framed up, and it's very artsy and cool. So you're already starting to get a vibe of that restaurant. And I'm assuming just from that logo that they must be selling beef, right? So we look over here in the start of a menu. You can see that they have Wild Angus Burger, Black and Blue Burger, the All-Star Burger. And what I really love about this, because they've learned about that farm, or because they've learned about that organic farming, and now they're getting into the farm to table industry, you can see in the descriptions of the descriptions on their menu for the Wild Angus Burger. The Wild Angus Burger is made with grass-fed Angus with toppings of fresh onion, fresh tomato, and real cheese with a side of fries or tater tots. So you're starting to see where students are making those connections, and they're including them into those real-world scenarios. And this is just the start. This is really just the start of this project, and I cannot wait to see what the student ends up creating going forward. Define Learning really has shown, I've really seen where my kids have started to take not just charge of their own learning, but really take pride in what they're creating and are really proud of it. And I mean, students really do, they want to present. They feel so confident in their work because they kind of get that voice and choice, and they're getting to choose how they create and what they create. And so from here on, I hope you enjoy defined learning. I hope you see how incredible it can be for your students and for you as the teacher. And I'm going to hand it over to Ms. Knudson to talk more about schedules.
Thank you, Mrs. Dibb. Oh. All right, so we're going to go in today to talk about schedules and really how to shift your school schedules to provide for planning time. That was really what we need, because what was the need? We saw a need of the barrier being time. Everyone wants to do PBLs, but the big problem is planning. So how do we do that? Echoing a little bit.
Here, let me change that for you. I bet if I mute, it will fix.
Thank you. So for the schedules, the barrier was time, and we really wanted to figure out a way to take that barrier away so that we could have the most success as possible with our PBLs. And so what we did, we kind of shifted the school schedule. And so we're going to go into what that looks like in a second, but we're going to talk about some of the benefits first. So first of all, the schedule was different only one day a month. We called it a Cougar Day because we are the Croft Cougars. And then there was SEL and community building for students and teachers with intramurals built in. So that was a really fun aspect that we'll talk about in a second. The guidance lessons, so the lessons from our guidance counselors were also built into that time period, which also freed up our guidance counselors to be able to help more students during the days, because the guidance lessons used to be in social studies classes, and planning those out with the large number, like our large population, took quite a bit of time. And so now our guidance counselors are really able to focus in with those students, focus in with those small groups and working with them. And then we had dedicated planning time and expectations of teachers during the collaborative planning time. So they had dedicated 2 hours once a month during the school day to plan out those PBLs for the following quarter. So we're going to go into what those schedules look like now. So this is an example. This is part one. So this would be the 5th and 6th grade schedule. And I'm going to kind of run through this a little bit. And so at the beginning of the day, the students went to advisory for attendance purposes, but also just kind of settle themselves before they went about their day. Then they switched over, and the 5th grade students went to related arts, which is also known as specials for some people. They did that for an hour, while the 6th grade students went to the activities. Now, the activities included those guidance lessons. They included STEAM activities, whether those be just different STEAM challenges that they could do, or we did a STEAM scavenger hunt. That was really fun. And then after an hour where the 5th and 6th graders are in those sections, they switch. And the 5th grade students go to the activities, and the 6th grade students then go to their related arts classes. During that time, the 5th and 6th grade teachers get to plan. And the 5th grade teachers are in one room and they're planning what they want. And 6th grade teachers are in one room and they're planning what they want for their grade level project-based learning unit for the following quarter. Then they go down and meet their students in the gym. And this was kind of the huge event that took place, and it was intramurals. And so we had volleyball games, we had soccer games, we had relay races, and homerooms versus homerooms, and then homes are like winning homerooms versus teachers, and teachers played with the homerooms. And it was really, really fun to see just all the community that was built during that time. Students were having fun with teachers, teachers were having fun with students. Students were having fun with each other, teachers were having fun with each other, and it was just really positive to see those experiences. Then when we shifted to the afternoon for them, everybody got a recess, of course, and lunch, but we also had everybody get to see their classes for about a half hour. So their classes were a little bit shorter, but they still got a chance to see all of those during the day. When we move into the 7th and 8th grade schedule, it's the same thing except just flipped. So the 7th and 8th grade students got to see each of their teachers in the beginning of the day for about a half hour. And then in the afternoon that switched. and 7th grade students went to related arts or specials for an hour, while the 8th grade students were in the activities, which were the guidance lessons, STEAM activities, and the teachers started their 2 hours of planning. 7th grade in one room planning, 8th grade in one room planning. And then after an hour, the students switched spots. And so 7th grade students would go into those activities, which again were the STEAM activities or the guidance lessons. And the 8th grade students went into related arts or specials. Teachers during that time are still planning. Then they all met up in the gym. So they all met up in the gym and they got to play intramurals with one another. Again, volleyball, soccer, relay races. They had a great time. Soccer was the big hit with them. And then they got to play homerooms versus homerooms and teachers versus teachers and students versus teachers and things like that. So they really started to enjoy that. And then at the end of the day, everybody closed out. And our choice, actually, we had a couple of choices. You're seeing our original schedule here, but we chose to close the day out in clubs. And so students went all back over the building, but they got to go to their different clubs of choice with their teachers. And that's how we finished out the day. This allowed teachers to be able to have that time to plan for those PBLs that we love so much. They started to see the ease of it once they get into it, because everything that you first try takes a long time, but then you get to see how quickly that can become just in your head and you're just natural to you about in that planning process. And so we were really excited to look at that, and we're really excited to look at what that looks like now in kind of this new world that we have, and kind of be creative with that. So we'll have some creative scheduling with that. So we really want to thank you for joining us today, and please let us know if you have any questions, and I'll pass it back to Ms. Dibb. Ms. Dibb, you need to unmute yourself. It's the quote of the year.
There we go. I knew I was going to get it eventually. There we go. Yes, quote of the year. You're mute. You're mute. So yes, thank you so much for joining us today. Again, my name is Katherine Dibb. If you have any questions about what a zoology class in middle school is, or what are some great defined learning projects that you've seen in your classroom, whatever it might be, you can always contact me at katherine.thompson@mmps.org. or Greta Knudson at greta.knudson@mmps.org. At this time, we're going to say a wave and farewell to you. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it. We hope you got something out of it. And again, if you have any questions, please remember to email us, and we would be happy to interact or answer any questions you have. Thank you.
Also happy to get your ideas. We love ideas.
Yes.
We love thought partners.
We do. We love thought partners. That's pretty much all we do. So thank you so much, and we hope to hear from you.
Thanks for joining. Bye.